to welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboys. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Marv.
Cowboy Nation, how are you doing? How everyone's doing on this wonderful Sunday? Came to stop in, man, just get a little therapy in, and talk a little about a couple of topics, a couple of stories. Trying to, we're getting into what we call free agent season coming up for the NFL. The NFL is getting ready for what we call the tampering period, uh, the period of where we um, have a thing to tamper. Hold on one second, people. One sec. Sorry about that, man. We got when you trying to when you're trying to go on live, you got a lot of stuff that's going on at the same time. You got a lot of people coming by, so you have a lot. I'm sorry with to blink off your screen for such a thing. But let's listen. Getting back to what we were saying, man. A lot of stuff is going on. This is just crazy period of time when they're talking about the NFL, what we call the legal tampering uh part. Well, that when they said it's coming up on Monday, it already started. It started 2 or 3 weeks ago, where agents are not waiting for NFL teams to this for the NFL to say, oh well, now you can go talk to a player, or can you work out a deal, or can we get some interest in a player that we trying to get on our team, and people are looking for jobs. Um, the interesting thing when you talk about with the Dallas Cowboys, if you really want to talk about it and you really want to be honest about it, Dallas Cowboys is going to be linked. Well, they're going to link the Cowboys to every possible guy that has any type of name or did anything good. It's going to be some link to the Dallas Cowboys. If that's something, if it's true, if it's not, it's so many people that got so many leaks and talking about we got inside reporting that the Cowboys like this player, that player. And if you really think about it, Cowboy fans, and if we think about it, most of our biggest deals, most of our signings, we found out about it the last minute. Happy Sunday to you too. Most of our biggest deals, most of our best signings happen at the last minute. Nothing happened. I don't think nothing really happens that we talk about that it gets a lot of press and it's a whole big groundswell. Usually it don't happen when the Cowboys. Most time those a lot of those things are manufactured by us, manufactured by other people. We gotta understand, man, we can take a little small story and magnify it into some mega story where we just can't stop talking about it on Twitter. We can't stop talking about it on X. We can't stop talking about it on shows. We can't stop talking about it on. We just can just push it to a point where it just gets way out of uh, proportion. And most of the time, when we push stuff way out of proportion and push stuff into a yes, man. What's going on, Big J? Big Jason Whittingham, man, in the building, man. I appreciate you being in the building, man. Jason Whittingham, this guy right here, uh, folks. I want to. This is one of the guys. Me and this guy right here played at. This guy right here played at Norfolk State together, man. Um, we played at Norfolk State together, Norfolk State University, Norfolk State Spartans in Norfolk Virginia. We're both from the great state of South Carolina, and we played football in Norfolk State for one of a Hall of Fame coach, a Hall of Fame coach that that's the HBCU Hall of Fame coach and Coach Willie Bailey. Thank you for stepping in for me, Jason. And he's a great Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and he's not one of those Pittsburgh Steelers fans that's delusional. He's a football guy. So he's not delusional, and he's probably going to enjoy my show because my show is not going to be delusional about delusional, crazy stuff about Cowboys. But again, we're going to every story that comes out, we're going to just boost it up. We're going to get it to the point where it's going crazy. Now, I just saw on Twitter the last rumor. After we done got this Max Cosby thing, man. Now Max Cosby's gone to the Ravens. And I know Jason Whittingham, the guy just put on there, he don't like that because that's going to be going against that's going to go against his Steeler Nation. But now there's a report that the other great pass rusher from Cleveland is now available, and maybe he'll go to New England. And do the Cowboys want to show how much they want to go out for to win it all and to go and spend 2 first-round draft picks for Myles Garrett? And that's going to be the piece that's going to straighten this whole defense out. And then we're going to go get other guys. 2 things are for sure about the Cowboys. And I want y'all to listen to me on this before y'all start blurting out free agencies. Before y'all start bringing out free agencies and people that you want to get picked. 2 things are for sure about when we talk about the Dallas Cowboys and free agencies and drafts. And I mean free agencies and trades. For us being so loud and sometimes being very arrogant as fans, do you think anybody want to give us a deal that they don't win? Do you really think that any guy is going to give us a deal where the cost is not going to be more than the next person? If and I don't believe the Cowboys offered this anyway, because I don't believe the Cowboys was all in and getting Max Cosby like a lot of our fan base, but I think they appeased our fan base because they knew our fan base was all into it, right? Yeah. I'm gonna get back to that, Jason. But I think that the Cowboys front office was just appeasing out, and I think they was into it. I think they offered some stuff for Max Cosby. I really think they really gave a good offer. But if you think about it, if you watch film on and watch film and watch the offer that they gave for Max Crosby, it was better than the offer that the Ravens gave. If the Cowboys offered the 12th pick, which is 2 picks earlier than the 14th pick, and the Cowboys offered them a defensive lineman that ain't, and all y'all just talking all this crazy stuff, there ain't no bad defensive lineman. And a second round draft pick next year. But they took 2 first round draft picks from the Ravens. Those 2 spots from 14 to 12 can mean a lot. That got value right there. And then a player and a second round draft pick in the next year, it's got value. They could have went to the Cowboys, but no. They probably were attacking the Cowboys and saying they want 2 first round draft picks and Osa. Because that's how people deal with the Cowboys. You think free agents are coming here that's not hurt, that's able-bodied, healthy, coming into this atmosphere when we so pumped up and we think we should give George Pickens $40 million? When we got people in our thing talking about spend the bank, go spend money. So you think the agents, when we talk to free agents, they're coming in here saying that they're gonna take anything less than the top dollar that they can get, or we're gonna be in a bidding war? You don't think that's we created an atmosphere for that? It's already created. It's nothing we can do about it. That's the atmosphere created. We have created an atmosphere that there is no bargains unless there is something to make it a bargain. Maybe injury prone, maybe a guy on his second chance. Some people say, well, coach, no, you got George Pickens. Man, what? Listen, let's be real about it. Pittsburgh was shopping George Pickens, but there wasn't that many people that was willing to trade for Pickens. And this is not no talk about Pickens. This is not saying Pickens not a good player, but there wasn't a lot of interest that Pittsburgh had. They gave us some Pickens for what, a second round pick? And I think we got a pick back in return. They were trying to unload it. Now, it turned out good for us. And we're going to talk about Pickens a little later. But there's no deals out there, man, that people are talking about giving the Cowboys. That's the thing. That's how it goes. So when you start talking about Cowboys going out and getting guys, remember, this organization has created an atmosphere that people are going to ask for top dollar. And I've told y'all a long time ago, the only way that you're going to stop teams for asking for teams or players when they come here to stop asking for the kitchen, the whole kitchen sink, you have to win, and you got to win big. And once you win big, now you have the leverage. Kansas City got leverage. Philadelphia got leverage. Seattle now has leverage. They may not have leverage in all ways, but they have some leverage. Why they have leverage? Because now they're saying, you come here, you got a chance to play for a championship. We win. So a little less money here means you got a chance to play for something. But you have no leverage when you telling people to come here and you ain't won nothing in 30 years. Or you can't even get a consistent in playoffs. Now people want to get your top dollar because what you're doing trying to get them to build your championship. So they say, hey, if you put me on the building block, You got to pay me. See, go to the championship game and all these, this here. Go to the NFC championship game last year, and your deal for Pickens is a whole lot less. You say, oh, wait a minute, coach. No, he's gonna ask for the kick caboodle. Just say you didn't go to the NFL. Just wait say you were close. And the magnitude of publicity is going to be around the Cowboys is already crazy. But imagine the magnitude of publicity if you went to like the NFC Championship game. Imagine all the endorsement that you're going to get on side money for being a Cowboy player. And imagine when you say, well, I want to be, imagine all the other receivers that's knocking on the doors and say, hey, let me come and get some of that loot. You're not going to take peanuts, but it ain't going to be hard to negotiate with you. Because you can say, hey, we can let you go. We can find enough. It's the same thing, man. And I hate to say it like this. You know, we talk about football, but let's talk about real life. I got to tell y'all, football, everything is relative. Football and real life is relative. Let's say this. When you got more options or you put something on a better stage, even in real life when you talk about dating, you got less of a somewhat of arguments because you feel like the other person feel like, man, this is a great situation. I can be replaced. But if you ain't got nothing going on, guess what? You might have to take a little bit more. So the Cowboys got to get to a point where they start getting leverage, and they don't have no leverage right now. So if all this stuff y'all talk about, y'all won't display it, y'all won't with it, just understand. And I keep trying to tell you, don't listen to all these rumors. Just watch what the Cowboys do. Now, everybody else was talking about other stuff. Now, I heard some reports that came out that they were looking at a guy from the Minnesota Green Laws, or not Greenwood, or he's an outside linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings. I keep trying to tell y'all, everybody else out here looking for defensive ends. I keep trying to tell you that they're doing a 3-4 defense now. Now they 4-3. They're going with a 4-3-4 defense. You say that again. All y'all still thinking about 4-3. They're looking for guys that got that kind of ability to play that outside rush linebacker. Stand up, do some other things other than rushing the quarterback. They're looking for that type of guy. Y'all looking for a guy to put his hand in the ground and go defense in. Okay. Let me kill some other myths. Philadelphia is a #1 defense. Right? Or #1 defense in the top defense. No significant pass rushes on defensive end. Now, you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. They had to bring Graham back. Graham is 95 years old. When the last defense, when Vangio came there, right off the bat, they got rid of, everybody said they couldn't get rid of the #7 because they said he was a dog at pass rushing. Right off the bat, they let him walk. They traded him. Yeah. Right off the bat. Then they did bring a guy in from Carolina, but he didn't pan out. They cut him right after this year, so they still played. They cut him. Sweat had his best year. No, not Sweat had not a good year. The year they won Super Bowl. It was the okay year. They already knew he was going to let him go. He had a great Super Bowl. The Smith guy that got out of Georgia, They got him up to speed, and he started. Nolan Smith started giving them some pressure, but no outstanding defensive end. It was committee wide. Somebody speak me on that. It wasn't no. There was number one defense. Now it started to hurt them, and they're looking for a pass rusher. But they have done pretty well without one. Now, yeah, you need some guys to get to the pass rush. Now, if I wouldn't sell my whole life for that, because look at the elite pass rushers. I think we had somebody, Luke Tate said this. He said, ain't that many elite pass rushers. And he was so on point for that. It ain't. But look what those elite pass rushers, what their team's doing. Myles Garrett, Cleveland. Pittsburgh, TJ Watt. Nah. Okay, but hell, Watt missed 4 games a year. Matt Crosby, Trey Henderson. There's a couple of more. Okay, Bosa at San Francisco. Well, Bosa was out the whole year. And that team still won 13, 14 games, 13 games, right? I'm just saying. We act like that don't happen though. We act like you got to have that guy to be good. I'm just saying. Bosa was out just about the whole year. TJ Watt missed about what 5 games, Jason Bates, if I'm correct, and they still was a contender playoff wise. We know what Myles Garrett did, and you know what Cleveland did. We know what Max Crosby did. We know what the Raiders did. There ain't no. We know what Trey Henderson was every year, and you know what Cincinnati did do. So, as I always said, defense ain't about getting one guy and it's gonna make it great. Then I have somebody argue with me say, "Well, you know the Cowboys did that when they got Charles Haley." Do y'all know what the defense was before Charles Haley got there? We had some dogs in Dallas. None made Pro Bowls, but together, Charles Haley just added on and gave us the experience level. But he didn't even have his best years in Dallas. Somebody gonna say I'm talking crazy about Charles Haley. No, it ain't. Charles can tell you that. His best years was in San Francisco. He got to Dallas. He did something, but he knew he was with a team. Jim Jeffco had just as many sacks that Charles Haley a couple of years with Charles Haley did that. Jim Jeffco was doing his work. Tony Tober was doing his work. That's not taking away from Charles Haley, but his stats were better there. I'm just saying, yes, I would love to have Rice Carter, but this notion about where you got to have an elite pass rusher to dominate, you got to be able to get to the quarterback. Now, the Texans, they get to the quarterback, but they apply pressure to you all kind of other ways. But I think a team like Philadelphia be a number one defense, and none of them guys scare me. But they got to the quarterback. They managed factual ways to get to the quarterback. Sweat was there. Number 7, they got rid of him. They brought Graham back. Now, somebody gonna tell me Graham is an elite guy and everybody will be looking for elite. No, Graham fixed it into a rotation and he's doing his thing. But that's just that's how it is. I think we can be elite defense, but I don't think we got to put the whole kit and caboodle in getting a pass rusher. Then I said something on Twitter yesterday when and I understand people talking about New England. New England was very selective in what they went to, and now they got a team where they have upped the ante of they've gotten some of their younger guys to play at another level. They have built confidence. Now they're trying to strike. Well, maybe now they feel that they got a team built. Now they maybe try to strike with another piece to push them over the top. But they were selective in their they didn't go get when the New England Patriots were signing free agents, nobody was out there saying, oh man, they got the best guys in the world. Nobody said that. They got guys that fit what they wanted to do. And then they got a lot of glue pieces, but they got their core players that play better and smarter. They didn't go out there and change their whole roster. You got some core players, and I think your team likes them. But some of these players are not going, the Kobe Dean, there's a lot of push from Cowboy Nation by Kobe Dean. I said somebody Kobe Dean, and people got upset with me because they said, well, you bad on Kobe Dean. And it may be, but Kobe Dean will miss averaging 5 games a year. I'm still questioning when you watch film on Kobe Dean. Let me say this again. When you watch film on the Kobe Dean, there's no way in the world that you cannot be impressed. And there's no way in the world that I can look at Philadelphia and say, why the hell y'all talking about letting Kobe Dean get out the door? When you watch film on him. But there's an injury history that Philadelphia knows. And if Philadelphia knows it, you don't think the Philly could say, hey man, let's try to get you here for a team-friendly deal to extend your time because we can see you play. If they say they're letting him go and they're not trying to offer him a contract, buyers beware. If you look at tape and say, damn, he playing pretty damn good. You already know he got an injury history. You see a team can say, hey, we can get him because he got history here. And then we letting him go. Okay. That is buyers beware. The next case in point. If I heard Parker talk about how smart he is and how much film study he is. And you can see on film that he got but does Parker know that when he was in Philly, him not being available all the time is an issue. So if the Cowboys don't go full out and get him, don't blame it on the Cowboys. Blame it on what I just told you. There's some questions about his durability. Not that he can play. And what I've said before, I've been telling y'all this since one day, all right? And I said this in Twitter. And let me pull up because I wanted y'all to see what I said. I want to pull up X and let y'all see what I said in Twitter because I want to go back to the New England part. And I'm not trying to argue with nobody. I want to go back to the New England part that I was talking about New England and about what New England did, what they have done, right? Yeah, now we got the people talking about if Cosby available, just throw it. I mean, if um uh uh if the if Miles Garrett will just give the whole farm for Miles Garrett. Throw everybody. Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great theater. We'll have some brag about. We'll have some brag about saying we got. Yeah, it'll be great theater. Yeah, it would be. Will it make a team? I don't know, but it'll be great theater. He would never hurt no team. No, he wasn't. But I know. I remember last year we was all talking about how top heavy the Cowboys were, and people was all upset about being top heavy. Well, you do throw the whole kitchen boot right there and say, I know he needs to think about F draft picks, but teams are being made off draft picks, especially these days and times. When you start giving guys money and when they get free agents and they don't perform after they get money. I'm just saying. Just, you see it all, you see it more times than but we try to act like a blind eye to it. There's a mixture there involved. But let me go back to what I was saying about when we're talking about, we talking about um, the free agency. And we're talking about the Kobe Dean, and we're talking about a lot of people talking about. We got some people saying, "Man, the pass rush is the whole thing. That's the fix all, and that'll fix our defense. That's the main thing. Gives a elite pass rush." And I'm saying this again, man. I'm saying this, man. And this has come from the the bad feeling about trading Michael Parsons. So what we're gonna do is over exaggerate because we're gonna say we got rid of Michael Parsons, so we gotta trade and get another guy that comparable to Michael Parsons. And I said this, I told a friend of mine this. We said we kept Michael Parsons last year. Is that defense better last year with Michael Parsons or just the same or worse? Is the defense better last year if we kept Michael Parsons or just the same or worse? That's the question I ask everybody. Because first I want to get what your answer is going to be. Then I'm going to present a case. Was the defense have been just as good last year or better with Michael Parsons? Let me tell you the stuff I've heard. And some of the stuff I heard that's a stretch. Some people said, yeah, because the media kept saying, "Oh man, you got rid of Michael Parsons, man, you would have been a better defense." Yeah. The defense was horrible because you got rid of Michael Parsons. Okay. If we would have kept Michael Parsons, we wouldn't have had Quinn Williams and we wouldn't have had Clark. Add Michael Parsons, lose Quinn Williams and Clark, you suffering a little bit. I've said many times over, we didn't really look at what the real cause, and hopefully this coaching staff is looking at the real cause of what is our cause for our failure. That's a part of coaching, people. Coaching is self-evaluation and not listen to what the media says about it, because most times the media is going to look at a general level and say take a number or take something they hop on and tell you that's what your problem, you fix that, that's it. But you had more problems than the rest of the passing. You had games where you had a great pass rush. And if you look at the end of the season, our pass rush was getting pressure. and we still getting killed. So let me show you what I was saying on Twitter. Let me show you what I was showing. I said on Twitter. And and I said this to Cowboy Nation. And I don't think Cowboy Nation really picked up what I was saying, but I want to try to explain it because I don't want nobody to think I'm going against them. But these things ain't, all this other crazy stuff we talking about. But let's talk real. I said the Patriots were very selective in their free agent hunting last off season. They were. They had money. They said they want to spend money, but they were selected because they were looking for a fit. Yeah, everybody want talent, everybody want names and all that, but they wanted a guy that was going to fit what they're going to try to do, the mentality they're trying to do it in, coachable, like Shottenham been talking about these coachable moments with these players. They wanted a guy that's going to fit because they need to change how they did things in New England based off the bad success they've been having the last couple of years in those coaches. So they needed fit, not just household names. They also was correct. They did a self-evaluation. Their coach came in and did a self-evaluation, probably did film study, stuff he's been watching this team. He did a self-evaluation as a coaching staff. They evaluated what was wrong with the little things that didn't get done when you could see that was hindering them that a lot of people don't want to talk about because they're not newsworthy to talk about. They say they did correct in finding the real problems of their team and they address that. Now, some of the stuff they address, some of the people in the media might not want them addressed. Some of the people say, why you signing this guy? Why you getting this guy? It could be a better guy here. They addressed it and they addressed it for what they felt was the best to address their team's problems, real problems. They also got players that were on the past roster, on the previous roster, to play better. Jake May, some offensive linemen. They have a rookie offensive lineman. Nobody talked about that. Yeah, they drafted a rookie offensive and they put him out there. Now he had problems in the Super Bowl, but he got through a whole season where they won games and got to the Super Bowl. They didn't shy away from him and say he got to be an all-pro. They got what he could get out of him. They got what they can get out of everybody on that roster, and they got the guys that was on the roster to play better, and they probably moved them to better roles because everybody got a role. That's coaching. That's for find out what your team. That's knowing your team. Those are things that nobody's gonna talk about that you're gonna put on a Twitter post and you're gonna get 100,000 likes. You can't do no show about that like I'm doing. And people gonna say, oh man, let's subscribe and do all that. Those are not the topics that nobody want to talk about. Because most of the people who talk about is talking about, oh, they ain't got no pass rush. Oh, they got to get a wide receiver. Oh, they got to get a quarterback. So they found the real problems. They addressed them. They also got, no, then I said, and they got the players and they addressed it and put the guys in better roles. And that not only put them in better roles, they got some of those guys like Jake May to come from becoming role players, guys they had invested in. Some of them young players that was already on that team, they got them to start being stars. That's ascending, getting your team, getting your players to get to another level. This is what Schottenheimer talked about. He wanted a coaching, teaching. They brought younger guys in so they can motivate. They didn't bring a bunch of young guys in here for you to give them a bunch of old guys that got old, that's already set in their ways and say, oh, change them. But that's what we think. Because if that's the case, they could have went with a veteran coaching staff. If that's the case, they could have kept some of the guys they had. So the signings below, I put the signings below. I'm gonna show you the signings. The signings below is these were the signings below is what is the big name guys or the significant signings. There was a lot more smaller signings. But the signings below are not no big name stars. People say, well, Stephon Diggs was a big name star. Well, Stephon Luster had fell off of him. He was not that elite guy anymore. But there's not no big name stars, but they're not big name stars, but they were for the team's problems, role fits. They went to find out role players that fit what their problems were. Now, some people say, well, that's what we trying to talk about, coach. That's why, one of the problems was the pass rusher. That we trying to get a pass rusher, that's we trying to fit that problem. But when you exhaust so much to fix one problem, you alleviate the other problems. You're gonna throw the whole kitchen sink. Do we really think that pass rush, and I don't think pass rush was the major problem for us. But we like to say that. But find their problems, they found role fits. And then I said they got some other signings that were glue guys. No, you get Paces, then you get the glue to keep this thing together. And I guarantee those glue guys, none of y'all nobody talked about them. But they scoured and they find guys that fit what they wanted to do. That's what you do. All right. Then I say they did a hell of a job. The coaches there did a hell of a job in real football evaluating. They went back and did some real football evaluating and say, is it culture? Is how we go about things? How we need to get this team, where this team failed. They had a lot of close games the year before. Where were they failing? We need to be more physical. We need to be more. Are we hurting ourselves penalty wise? Do we need some guys that need to be in the right spot? How can we change the mindset of this football team and get the maximum out of it? Everybody talk like that's some crazy stuff, but telling you people, those things are sometimes worry more than what talent can bring. Because if you don't have those things, you can have talented players and they would never maximize what they're supposed to be. Just saying. Not saying you don't need talent. But I'm the one of people always say we got talent. But we just soap opera and we let distractions kill us. And then we got some more distractions, which I can't stand, but I'm not getting about personal stuff. And if they got the most, they did football evaluation, they got the most out of their team. I truly believe that. And then free agents, the notable ones, they signed Carlton Davis, the third, 3-year, 54. And I bet you nobody was all standing on the table for Carlton Davis, but they found out what he does and he fit what they wanted to defensively. Landry, he fit what they wanted to do defensively. And I think he came from Tennessee Titans and he went back and got that guy because he fit what he needed him to do. 3-year contract, probably in about a 2-year deal, but they went out and got these guys because they fit what they want. Diggs, that should turn out to be about a 1-year contract because they'd already released him from this year. Then they went to sign some other guys back. They put that team together and got to the Super Bowl. Great job by them. That's a very good job by them. But they went and got guys that fit what they wanted to do. And that's what you do. And a lot of y'all, a lot of my fans, a lot of people that listen to me and grow with me don't understand that. They are like, you just got to go out here and buy a bunch of guys, and you can be all right by buying guys. And yeah, you are. And I'm not saying some of the breakdowns are not right. They are. I was spot on with a lot of them. But let's be real about our problem. And I'll say it again, and I mean this, and I see Christian Parker, all of them looking at the direction I'm looking at. You got to listen. You got three guys that I think could be dogs in this type of system, in a 3-4 system. I think Olsen could be a hell of a fourth eye. I thought he was a hell of a 4-eye when he's coming out of UCLA. A hell of a 4-eye. I know Quinn Williams can be one. And I think Clark got as he's gotten older, can be a hell of a nose dive. And I think, and then what people say, well, why you got rid of the guy that we had from the why you got rid of the guy from the USFL? We thought he could fit. I thought he could fit. But guess what? Think about this. Why did he even play a lot last year? What he hurt? He had a back injury. When the Cowboys get off you that fast and you that cheap, guess what? They know that listen, as I keep trying to tell y'all, buyers beware. It's just like when guys go out and trade cars. You be like, man, why you trading that car so fast? It just look like a great car, man. Yeah, it is. I like it. It's a nice car. I just don't know how long it's gonna go. It may go long, but I ain't taking the risk. Buyers beware. And I think that they'll get another couple of guys to fit the role of what they want them to do. See, I'm gonna say something about the Cowboy fans that know about us that we really don't know, that we don't talk about. Other great teams and great organizations talk about fit, and they let stars be stars, and they let people know if you're a star or you're a role player. Their fan bases know who the stars and who the role players. Let me try to explain that again. There's a difference between the stars and the role players. All of them play a role in this production. But the stars have more. We should look at them in a starring role. The role players, we should look at them doing their role and their part. There's not a team full of stars. Even though we play for the Cowboys and we got the star on our shoulder, it's not a team full of stars. So Hunter Limpy is a role player. If he does 3 or 4 things in a game, or 2 or 3 game things in a season that are key plays to help us get and win games, not no 100 yards, not no 1,000 yards, but we see a couple of plays and he does his role to the top of his ability, I'm fine with it. I'm not going to go out here and say, well, he ain't doing this. He ain't getting no yards. He ain't doing it. Because now I'm trying to put him in the star role. No, he's in a role to do his job. Someone out there help me, the longtime Cowboy fans, because I'm not good with names. During the Great Wall, tight end blocking was pivotal to any run game. Now, I'm going to say that again. I've said that my first show with Boss Cowboy, when we talked about the running game, I said that then. Me and OC was on that. And it's undoubtedly. If your tight ends cannot block, that hurts your inside run game and your outside run game. If your tight ends are putrid, no running game is going, because they're going to dominate the outside. They're going to squeeze it till they get to a point where it's going to be non-existent. Our tight end blocking got better this year. Okay. The Great Wall was known as the Great Wall. Jay Novacek was on that great wall. Jay Novacek could block a little bit, but he wasn't the supreme blocker, but he was okay. But there was another tight end on that team. And I cannot remember. And the Cowboys kept him on that team year after year. He did not make no whole lot of money, but they made sure that that guy was on this team. He didn't catch number 1 or 2 passes, maybe 10 passes in a year, but he was pivotal to Emmitt Smith getting a lot of yards. Nobody talked about he should have caught no 40, 50 passes, but he was a role key player. No, we do to our role players. We denigrate them and shoot them down because we expected them to have star numbers. We expect a guy that's a third wide receiver to have 40, 50 catches when he playing next to CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Where the hell he gonna get 170 something, 1,000 yards from? We look at Jake Ferguson, who Jake Ferguson had a hell of a year blocking, a better year blocking, and I don't think he had a bad year at all. But we're looking for him to be Kellen Winslow or some Hall of Fame tight end. Where is the production you gonna get when you got a George Pickens and a CeeDee Lamb on the team? Tell me where all that's gonna come in at. For the production he gave you, it's good enough. It's perfect for a guy to play with those two guys. We look at floor noise. We looked at the only reason I fell off on Tolbert. Know why? He didn't block Riverdale. It wasn't about his receiving because I ain't expecting him to catch a lot of passes. I expect him to catch what he got. And listen, he had some games that he did some big plays. That's all you asking for. You're not asking him to go out here and be CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens. He's not. He fits his role. If he gives us a couple of big plays here and there, or a couple of catches on third down, he might lead the game. He might have 2 catches on third down that was pivotal in the game, and he might not have nothing else. And guess what? I'm going to say he did his role. But the other stuff he got to do is he got to block his ass off. I can't see him going out there lollygagging on the block. I can't see him lollygagging on special teams. That's his bigger role. Now, is that something that everybody gonna be watching? No. But if you can't do that, you have no place. Now, I always say, if you're a third wide receiver, if you can't play special teams and block your ass off, guess what? You're not on my team. Give me somebody else. I don't need a guy that can go out there and say, oh, he got potential to get 100 passes. Because you're not gonna get 100 passes. Because I got 2 guys that gonna get those. I need you to do the role things. But what we do is we kill the role players. Because if they're doing a role, we don't look at what the role is. We're giving them a star. We're judging them on how they are the stars. And guess what? They ain't gonna meet that. They ain't gonna meet that expectation. Unrealistic expectations. We expect Oster to have, and I said this, and maybe there's an Oster problem, or maybe there's a Cowboy problem. But we expect Oster to have 10, 11 sacks, 50 tackles for loss. We expect him to have big time numbers at 57% of the snaps. Newsflash, that would never happen. Did anybody go back and look at that and say, okay, this look at his numbers. Is he playing the same amount of snaps as the guy that you say y'all wanted to have stats like? If he's not, by far, how do you expect him to have those stats? Then we look at his stats and we say, oh, they're all right. Yeah. But I always say this. When he's not playing hero ball, he's a damn good defensive tackle. when we got this thing slant when you get ready to slant, go when you get ready to go, trying to run around block when you get ready to run about, which I see that all the time. Guess what? Clark came here and he started to do that stuff last year. Do you remember the Carolina game? Osa and Clark looked hard because everybody was trying to play hero. That I don't think that's going to be tolerated this year because if Christian Parker is anything like Big Fangio, right? He wants discipline. Why y'all think that they're out on Jalen Carter? Because y'all see Jalen Carter make some splash plays, but they see Jalen Carter every day. They see problems in his game. They see stuff that's going down the road. So that's what I'm saying. We need more role players that that we have specific roles. Listen here, and I can't keep going back to other teams because I go back to other teams. People say you trying to be old school, but everybody used to love Big Moose. Moose, because they understood Moose had his role. Was Moose going to ever get the yards that Emmitt Smith got? No. Was Moose going to ever catch all the passes that Michael Irvin catch? No. But Moose had his role. Yep. Everybody used to like the shark, the guy that came out on the special team. His role was to get everybody fired up and go down there and play special teams and be a dog on special teams. That was his role. We got too many people we got a fan base that want everybody to believe. And if they don't meet our expectations, we want to kick them off the bus, off the block, off the bus. Nation right. We ain't got to go back that far. I used to say, man, let the guy play. I didn't see that bad in it. I think he got a guy caught the ball on him a couple times. He might have, but wasn't no bad coverage. You know who y'all kept talking about? My man from South Carolina. He was from South Carolina. Number 24. He played one good game against the 49ers, and everybody talking about he was just great. But when you kept watching it, he kept getting burned. But we started liking him. We didn't like Nation Wright. Nation Wright got a couple interceptions. But we didn't give him a chance. Our fan base didn't give him a chance. We dedicated. We want him to be an all-pro. But he was working through that. Except when he was. He was a role player. Even though he playing cornerback, still got a role. There's a number one, there's a number two corner. That's his role. The slot corner, his role. He might not be the best cover guy, but his other stuff that he has to do, that is his role. We got to stop killing our role players and ripping them to pieces because they're not living up to the expectations of the stars. But they're important, man. They're important. But now we into the George Pickens thing. We pushing the price up again. Because we said, get to the George Pickens. I heard somebody say, man, if some of these other receivers George Pickens should get $30 million, $40 million, he's gonna probably get more. Listen, man. I'm gonna say this, and I know some people argue me. He's not better than CD Lamb. Where do we see a team that has a guy in his prime? We gonna say, well, he gonna pay. Now he close, fine. But if you talking about getting more than CD Lamb, that ain't happening in Dallas. The Cowboys already said this. And let's look at this. And I know people gonna say, well, coach, well, they're gonna look at. Are we really looking at context of this year? Or we just wanting to say something to be saying something? Let me see. I may not even have the thing up there. I might not even have it up. No, I don't. Let's see. I thought I had the. I thought I had it up here. Okay, let me go back and get it. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can get it for you. Because I had this up one time before, and I did a show on this. And I was saying I did the show on this when I was talking about the context. And let's take this context. I understand that the Pierce might get a lot of money from the coach. Why? Because he's the coach's main number one wide receiver. Their price for them is going to probably be the roof because he's going to be their guy. There's a difference when you got one guy that's your guy and you deal with this is a we are in a very unique situation that we got two guys that are very, very good, and we got to find out a way to keep them. But most teams say, hey man, we try to find we need that one, we gotta be better at other places. I want to keep picking. They want to keep picking. But think about this. On the stat here, I got Pickett's stat from, we forget about 2023, 2004, which is important, right? He had the most touchdowns in this year. That 2023 was pretty good. 63 questions. This is the first year he got in 90 receptions. He was getting a lot of yak yards. But 93 receptions, yeah, man, that was great. Very good stats, man. Oh, a second Pro Bowl year. But look at this guy, man. This guy played 14 games. He really played 13 games because we the first got hurt in the first quarter of the game. He got his ankle hurt. So basically 13 games. Because the last game of the season, he only caught one pass and they took him really bracing it out. But look at his stats, man. He only a 400 yards with 4 games less. He only 400 yards less than Pickens. He only 20 receptions less. No, 18 receptions less than Pickens. And he missed 4 games. Do we see this? The projections. If he would play 17 games, they projected that he would have had 118 targets on catches. Same stats as Pickens and 8 touchdowns. That's a lesser role because of the fact it's a George Pickens there. But this guy has been dominating for years. He has a different role. He's a different wide receiver than Pickens. The say, I don't care if he's playing the inside, the outside, or whatever. You put up those numbers, what are we talking about? Now we got people telling us, well, you pay the outside wide receiver, it's about where where you play at now. If you're out, come on, man. They move receivers around every day, man, to get them open, man. And you're not gonna get CD Lamb a new contract. That's not happening. I just don't. But we think it's okay. Nobody else done this. But we think because we big bad Dallas, that's okay. So I just, I just wonder, what's I thinking? And I think Pickens is gonna be here. I don't have no question about this. But I think it's gonna be either for a short deal, a 2-year deal, basically. And what that does is what? That gives his client to be 2 times into the market. That means he's gonna do a 2 or 3 year deal, get some good max, get some good um guarantee money, and then hit the market again at 28, which is still gonna be young enough for him to get another big payday. Which that's what a player really likes to do. To get in that market 3 times. And then if he's still doing that at that time, CeeDee Lamb will be coming off the books, and now you make it take CeeDee Lamb money. That's the smart thing, I think. A smaller deal, hit the market twice. But it's gonna be pressure from the fan base because they want you to get so and so. But I just I mean, I'm not saying the numbers don't say, but he's not a better wide receiver. We can say quite well because I could see if you say, well, he's a better receiver because uh, CeeDee Lamb had a bad year, man. If he got hurt, man, CeeDee Lamb don't be hurt. I've said this, and I don't know people. Everybody like they say, no, that ain't the truth. If CeeDee Lamb plays 17 games, Pickens don't have 93 receptions. Pickens don't have no 1,400 yards. I just plain blame. Doesn't seem he's not having a great year. But role players. So what is the Cowboys going to be doing this season, off season? I think we're look at what the Cowboys are trying to get. I know we're going to have opinions about what they're going to need to get. But watch what they do and get away from all this stuff about what's being said. Watch what they do, and it's going to tell you what identity they're trying to get to. And for all y'all talking about George Pickens, I appreciate y'all. But if you took this, and I'm going to say something now for to make a lot of people mad. A lot of people going to jump on me with this because they're going to say, Coach, you know you're crazy. You go draft George Love at 12, and you keep Devontae Williams there because you Love is going to be less, and you keep Williams and you let Williams and Love run that backfield, your offense will be just as explosive or even more than it will be with Pickens. Everybody else is going to benefit, and everybody else is going to look great. I can just tell you that for a fact. But it won't be what y'all want. But it might be beneficial to win a Super Bowl, but it won't be what y'all want. And I said that somebody got on my case and talking about, you being, that's a bad analogy. Okay. I just say, and they say because Hurst is garbage. No, they understood what Hurst can do, and what he does is great at what he does. That's what you don't. You don't take a Lamborghini and ride around in the city all the time. You don't take a small 2-door Chevrolet, well, and take it on a little small. Well, give me a little small car. You don't take that on the Autobahn and say they'll be driving on Autobahn. You put it in the environment it can be flourished in, and then it's gonna work. Just like I try to tell y'all. There ain't but 4 things you do with talent. What they did is they found Hurst talent. They found out what he throws best, what routes he throws best, what receivers are best for him, what offense is best for him. They found that out. They put him in that offense that makes him look good enough to do. And what he does it at a top level. And they like that because they can win with that top level. They don't ask him to do nothing else. We're looking for Dak Prescott to beat Patrick Mahomes. we're looking at him to be some guy superhuman. This is where we get said. I'm not saying Dak Prescott is a role player. I'm not saying Dak Prescott is this quote what we say game manager. I'm just saying he's not maybe not his best efforts and getting the maximum out of him is not putting him in a situation where he's throwing the ball around the field all for the whole game. It wasn't good for Troy Aikman to throw the ball around the whole game, but he couldn't do what Dan Marino did. And Dan Marino probably wouldn't accept what Troy Aikman did. So, role players, free agency, Cosby, find out what the real problems are. We got 2 first-round draft picks, people. I just think, man, what if? What if? Let me give you a scenario before I leave. You know, Michael Parsons got drafted the 12th pick in the draft. When we drafted Michael Parsons, we was coming off Dolan's horrible football season of defense. Mike Nolan. We had the 12th pick in the draft after Mike Nolan got fired. We bought Dan Quinn, and this is not no pat Dan Quinn. I'm just saying the scenario. We bought Dan Quinn in to straighten out this defense. We had Michael Parsons. We had a 3rd-round draft pick. We had a 4th-round draft pick. We had, I think, 11 picks in that year. I think we took 7 or 8 of them in drafting defensive guys. What if somebody told us at that time that a Cosby was on the board and we were a 30-year-old guy or a Cosby was on the board at that particular time? And what if we would have did at that particular time, would have traded Michael Parsons, traded the 12th pick away to go get that guy? And also traded the 3rd-round pick to go get some guy. One guy. And I don't care what y'all think about. Osa played some good football to get his car. And we'd have gave up Osa and Michael Parsons to get that one guy. Same scenario. Same type of defensive problem. Where would we be? We got a chance at 12 players down. And then 8 picks later to get 2 stars in this defense. And even out some of this star power. Some of these guys have got to play better. Some of these guys are going to reach their full potential. Some of these guys are not. That's just the nature of the game. But I think Rebel can meet another potential. I think Butler has some potential. I know Bland has some potential. I'm just thinking this put it. I just think what we did is we try to get we nitpick Bland. Because every time somebody caught the football on, we were like, oh yeah, like, and we understand that's not gonna happen. And you're not gonna stop everybody. If you get targeted, I had the great Dallas Cowboys, which is I trust his defensive back thing with. He said win 50% of the time. So that means you're gonna get caught. But we got such lofty expectations, like, oh, as soon as he get there, he been poo-poo. We do that in the games. Listen to us. Guy catch the ball, oh man, he getting cooked. So watch what they do. They're gonna tell you, they already show you that they want linebacker. They in a 3-4, not a 4-3. We'll say that again. We're doing a 3-4. They got guys, when you talk about moving Maris, and you try and teach him how to get to the quarterback, then that tells me that you're looking for outside linebackers that can rush the quarterback. You brought a guy in here from Georgia that's a outside linebacker specialist. For what name? For the Georgia Bulldogs. You brought a guy here who's a pass rush specialist to work with guys pass rushing wise. All this tells you that they're looking for outside linebackers to get to the quarterback, not defensive ends. I'm just trying to tell you. They paint the picture for you, but we don't want to see it. They're not giving up. They got their sights on some guys in that first round that they feel that they're gonna get that's gonna pop. Trey Henderson, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. We gonna jump all over it, but he's 30-some years old, man. What you gonna sign him 2 or 3 years? He's an overachiever already. Let me say that again. He's already an overachiever for what he projected what he was gonna do and what he has done in his career. Do we think it's gonna always continue that way? He's on the downside. Man, I got to get out of here, people. I need y'all to do something for me. I need y'all to like, comment, and subscribe. I love all the comments I've gotten. Some of the people who come in here, Tyrone Church, he always, man, thank you for supporting me, man. All these other, man, my girl Jessica, man, thank you so much for supporting. She's all biz cut. Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, some of the people, yeah, the Cowboys need to win now. Yeah, we need to win now. Win now doesn't mean listen. Win now doesn't mean throwing the farm out and saying we can just go get this guy and do it. That's what we call. Uh, I tell you, man, football is the greatest team sport in sports. So if you're not trying to improve your whole team to get to a championship, you ain't gonna one person that's not gonna just get it there. Because one person ain't made you this bad, but a collection that can turn this thing around. I hear the Seattle Seahawks talk on their podium the whole time. They talk about playing football together and playing the right way. They got a lot of production out, a lot of people. I think we're close. I think these 2 first-round draft picks, I think we do need to pick up some free agents, but I think these 2 first-round draft picks and picking up the right fits, we can be dangerous. But we have to have the mentality of defense has to be first. Defense has to be first. It has to be, it's our DNA, it's what we have done for years to win championships. Offense has not led us to win championships. Most of our championships have been led by defense in the game and during the year. Offense was efficient. We had some knockdown, drag out defensive battles. So, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure share this video. Make sure you get up. I'm trying to get up to. I'm a little bit over 100 and left to get to my 1,000 mark. Maybe I'm not gonna get to the 1,000 mark because what I don't do is I don't play this game of pandering to a lot of rumors and all that stuff. I see some people talking about every time there's a new player out there, they always have that player, um, Joey Bosa now, the other guy out of New England. Man, listen, man. This man said y'all talking about Joey Bosa and all that. This man told y'all, and I'm gonna say this, man. This man told y'all straight up that he doing a 3-4 defense. And y'all still trying to find him defensive ends. He bringing a outside linebackers coach. And y'all still trying to give him defensive ends. Think about that. They moved Maris, the outside linebacker, talking about his pass rush. Not to start, but then for them to attempt to do that. So is he gonna come in replace Bosa for a breather? That's where you gonna go from? Bosa to Maris? You gonna go from Miles Garrett to Maris? That what you think they're gonna do? When they need to give him a breather? All right, man. Just see, I may be wrong, but let's see what they do. And when they start doing some of the certain things, I want y'all to make sure you say, hey, man, I see what the direction they're going. Well, until next time, man, salute. Have a great rest of the Sunday, man. And we'll see you on the next time. Peace.